Father Seraphin Pashona, and I want to welcome you to another episode of our video Catholic Under the Hood. This is the first of a series of videos in which I'm going to talk about the history and methodology of prayer for the Liturgy of the Hours. And I wanted to start this series on the Liturgy of the Hours here in the chapel in which I said my first Mass as a priest. This is the chapel at our mother house in Loretto, Pennsylvania. And I wanted to start off here to give you an example of what is called choir seating, or it used to be referred to as choir stalls. Rows of seats in which the religious, in which the priests would sit on opposite sides within the church. And I'm sitting on one side of the choir stalls right now, and I'll show you a little bit later a panorama. You can see the other side of the other choir stalls as well. Let me just talk to you a little bit about the theology of the choir stall and why it was so important to the Liturgy of the Hours. The Liturgy of the Hours, just to give a little bit of information about it, and again I'll talk more detail a little bit more later in this video cast, is set up for opposite sides of the brothers, opposite sides of the priests, to say different stanzas of various psalm prayers. And so you'd have a side A, side B, or one or two, in which again each would take alternate verses, alternate stanzas. And the alternation of the prayer, combined with the architectural place, the location of these choir stalls, was designed in order to create the image of two sides of a ship rowing the ship, so that as side A was saying its prayers, it was in a sense rowing or moving its paddles, and then side B would say its prayers as again if it's rowing or paddling the ship, so that as each side, and since neither side could move the ship forward on its own, that each required the other in order to provide that sort of fullness of the prayer. And the notion that as, or understanding as each side said its prayer, it was moving the whole ship forward. That together that they were rowing the ship forward, the ship, the bark, the church, and that no matter what sort of troubles or difficulties that the ship ran into, that as long as it was faithful to that prayer, is faithful to that, since that again, that rowing, that alternating stanzas, that alternating prayer, faithful to that Liturgy of the Hours, that the church would be able to withstand whatever dangers that it faced, whatever difficulties that it encountered. So I'd like for you, as we not just continue this video on the Liturgy of the Hours, but in other videos of the Liturgy of the Hours, that you keep in mind that fundamental image of the spirituality of the Liturgy of the Hours, that is each side rowing their faith, rowing themselves, rowing the church, pushing themselves forward, closer and closer towards that final destination, that final goal, that safe harbor of heaven. But let's look and see a little bit more clearly, again, this image of the two sides of the choir and two sides of the altar, where both sides would meet at that Eucharistic Lord, with our Eucharistic Lord. So once again, here we're looking forward at the altar, and we see the tabernacle behind us. On one side, we will see one side of the choir stalls here, where again side A or side 1 would sit. And here we see the other side. Again, just imagine with these two sides filled with priests, with religious, each side taking its own part within the prayer, but the fullness of that prayer only being realized as each side pulls its oar, moves its oar through the waters, so that, again, by each side doing its responsibility within the prayer, they each move forward towards their final goal, that is, towards Jesus Christ.